Hi, it's Liz Sneddon here. I'm doing a video here for teachers about flipped mastery for distance learning, and particularly using the statistics resources and website that I've created. So let's talk about some learning sequences. We know for stats most of the topics have got our PPDAC cycle as the centre of it. So that means students have to go through this all in that order and they have to work their way through the different sections. So it's like, if I think about it in terms of building skills, they've got to do each skill before they can get to the practice assessment where they need to put the whole thing together. So let's start with thinking about a cycle to learn each skill now. So the first thing that students are going to do is watch a video and take the notes. Then they go on to do some practice, so do some exercises and drawing and things like that. Then they need to get a mastery check done. Depending on how they go in that mastery check, if they get it correct, then they can carry on and go through to the next skill. However, if they don't get enough of it correct, then they might be doing some more relearning before they do another practice or mastery check. So in terms of the video section of it, so that's that first part, watching the videos and taking notes. I've made a bunch of videos already, and there's two ways that you can access them. You can access it through my website where I've set things up, or you can access it through my YouTube. So let me just quickly show you with those. So here's the default home website. So I might go to my year 11s and say, okay, I want to do the multivariate topic. So I'm going to start in my problem section, and I can see here I've got my key idea and then I've got a video, and this is what the students would go ahead and watch. Alternatively, you can go through my YouTube channel, and we'll just let that load up. And so in my YouTube channel I've got it organised by NCA level 1, then level 2, and then level 3. And so what students can do, you can set them a playlist. You can give them a link to the playlist of, for example, level 1 multivariate, and you can say, oh sorry, I don't want to play that one. If I go through to here, I can actually share and get a link here to the entire playlist. So that, or I can do one video at a time, depending on what suits you. So that's accessing the videos. Once they have those videos, they need to take notes. And so they've got to watch the videos, and I tell the students you've got to watch them video 3 times. So the first time that you go through, you are just watching and listening. So you're just hearing the information. Then the second time through, you're going to write down any words that go with it, and the third time you're going to draw any diagrams or pictures that I have done along the way. So I want them to be actively involved in the note-taking process, because the more actively involved they are, the stronger the memory is going to be. So that's step number 1, watching the video, taking notes. And I have got that note-taking practice. I've got a little video or GIF image on my website that I show students and talk them through that. Then once they've done that, then they need to go ahead and do their practice. So this is where I have a bunch of different workbooks, and so for example on my website I have, for example, level 1 multivariate, I've got workbooks, I've got answers, and I've changed the settings so that when you click on them, it now automatically opens up and asks if you want to make a copy, so that you've got your own copy. So that's step 1 and step 2. So the third step is the mastery check. So this is when I need to kind of test them or check their learning in some way. So there are a couple of different ways that I do this. So I sometimes will do it as a task. So if students have gone through, for example, the problem section, then I might give them a question and say, right, here's some variables, write me an investigation question. So that might, and then they've got to submit that to me. They might have to go off and make a graph and put that into a document and send me that document. So I can send them some kind of task to do. The second type that I do sometimes is a paper quiz. So this is not useful at the moment with the distance learning, but when I'm in class, then what I will do there is I have just a little paper that I print out, and the students just go and work on it, and I go through tick 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 and check if they've done it. So a very quick mastery check. The third type, and this is what I'll be using at the moment, is the online quiz. And so I've got a number of these already made, but I'll be doing a number of more. So this is when I just have it as a Google form, but you could do any kind of survey. And I collect some information about the kid, and then I might say, right, comparison question needs what? And this is when they have to go through and tell me exactly what's needed. Then when referring to direction, it means... and then at the end part, here's a sample. So here's some variables. Now write a question for me. So I can do my mastery checks in that way. So once the students have gone through that whole process, I'll just go back to the beginning there. Once they've gone through, they've got all their skills, and they're now up to that practice assessment stage. Then I've got a number of those available for all of the statistics topics. So some of them there will just be one practice assessment. Sometimes I'll have 2, 3 or more practice assessments depending on the topic itself. And what I need to do in the background as a teacher is I am monitoring and tracking their progress. So I'll have some kind of spreadsheet set up, and I have it set out what I expect them to complete in week 1 and week 2, week 3, etc. And I go through for each student, and I go through and I mark off where they're up to. So that's the learning cycle that I use for flipped mastery. So it's making sure that the kids are doing some work independently, but I jump in and help them when they need it. So that's where I use video calls or chat functions or emails to keep in touch with the students when they have questions about things. They do the practice independently, and then I do the mastery check. And sometimes this will be face to face, some of this will be more distance depending on the scenario. So I just want to have a quick explore of the website and show you a few things. So for example, if I go to my year 11s, so I've got a number of different topics there. So if I go into my multivariate, I start with a glossary, so kind of going through some definitions of what the key words are, so knowing what an outlier is, and I always try to give them a visual image to go with it. Reminding them about PPDAC, and then they can continue on to the next topic. So then I start going over my measures of centre and spread, how to draw dot plots, and then I get into, so with each of these I've got a key idea, I've got an example, and then I've got the connection to the workbook. So some things I've got the Walker workbook pages, and sometimes it's the pages from my own workbook depending on the topic. So back on that first page, that's where I've got my links to my workbooks. So for example, if I click on that, it'll automatically say, do you want to make a copy? And then I have some investigations, which are quite scaffolded, some practice assessments, and then I've got any other resources under the bottom, including some marking grids and things like that that might be useful for you. So not all of the topics are fully developed yet, but I'm working through most of them. So as we're working with this COVID-19 situation at the moment, I want you to bear in mind that yes, you're going to have a lot of students accessing online. You've got to be the master and control of them all and monitoring how they're going, and that's a lot of school systems that go behind that. So think about whether some students might be able to print things out or have textbooks already at home, in which case you can use those. You might be using the devices, using videos, using other ways to keep in touch with them. And these are the resources that are available for you on my website and things that you are welcome to use. So if there's anything that I can help with, you're welcome to get in touch with me, and there's my Gmail address, but hope this helps.